Ladies and gentlemen, we're finally here. The last leg of Sailor Moon, Another Story.
We made it!
We did indeed make it.
My computer notwithstanding.
Unfortunately, the last leg of this game falls very cleanly into that more fun to play than to watch category, because it's nothing but boss fights from this point on. Occasionally you walk from point A to point B between the boss fights, but I wouldn't exactly call these dungeons. The dungeon design in Sailor Moon Another Story is not very dungeony. So, and there's no point in the game at which that lack of dungeon design shows through quite as badly as the end game. Like, really, like, there are two areas in the end game. There's the evil castle, and then there's the future version of Crystal Tokyo, you know? And in both of these cases, they're just sort of places where you fight bosses, and there's a big wide open area in the middle where you can run around in circles fighting random battles if you need to grind. At this point, there is something that I should mention, and that is, this game has two endings. The condition for the endings entirely comes down to how well you do during the final boss.
Oh boy.
Well, at least it means you don't have to, replay the entire game to get a second ending.
True.
Yeah. There are two versions of the final boss. There's a hard version that you fight first, and then if you lose to that version, you have to fight the easy version. And if you beat the easy version, you get the bad ending, which is not a terrible ending to get story-wise. It's probably what they expect most players to get on their first playthrough of the game. But in order to get the good ending, which is what I do in this game, you have to beat the hard version of the boss.
Ooh.
Now,
Yay.
guides would tell you that if you want to beat the hard version of the boss, you need to get, like, the best accessories. You need to get all of those puzzle pieces so you can get the 10 angel pins, and then put them on this party member, this party member, this party member, and this party member. Or you could just time stop and time stop and time stop.
Oh my gosh.
And keep hitting it until it dies.
So we're just going Dio Brando on them. So what are
So,
those?
yes, time stop works on everything, even the final boss.
Ultimate technique.
Pluto's like, oh ho, so you're approaching me, final boss?
If you want to go for bonus points like I did, have Sailor Pluto and Sailor Mercury on the same team. It'll take a damn long time to kill the boss, but it'll die. It'll die, and on the off chance the time stop misses for a turn, it won't be able to damage you too much. But yeah, before we even get to that, we need to fight the 4 Oppositio Soldiers.
You're not me.
I'm finally pronouncing that like what I think is the right way to pronounce that.
Let our bratty younger brother free.
But yeah, instead of fighting these guys one at a time, like we did the
Last 3 times.
Yeah.
what we did on the Black Moon UFO, where those sisters all came at us one at a time because they didn't actually want to win. These guys are gonna come at us 2 on 2, in groups of 2 at a time, and then we're gonna fight Sin at the end of it. Because of course. But this is all basically just a setup for the 2 endings. Because the ending, I think, mostly...
Hey, she did the pose.
Yes, you did.
You're doing the pose in the wrong direction. I'm over here.
She has to point at the camera.
Well, turn the camera around so that she's also facing the enemy. Okay, so... first Marduk and Nurgle. Okay, so stop me if you've heard this before. Have
Bubble
everyone
spray.
defend for a turn. Have Sailor Moon use the attack buff skill, and then bubble spray both of them, and then wail on them until they're dead.
I want a mock-up screen of, because it's Marduk and Nurgle. I want Marduk from Tekken and Nurgle from the number of cartoons that use the name. for an annoying character, just have them be the sprites there.
Okay. Anyway, the inner Senshi are definitely going to have an easier time of their run of boss fights than the outer Senshi do because, well, one, these 5 are actually somewhat higher level than the others, but also Bubble Spray is, like, easier to manage as your boss mitigation tactic than Time Stop is because you only need to use Bubble Spray once on every boss enemy. Once you've done that, you can basically have Sailor Mercury fade into the background as the item user.
I'm here.
Like, she's not going to do any decent damage worth a damn because she's in the very backest of back rows, and that means she does barely any damage, but she also takes barely any damage. But she can be an effective, like, support character from back there as the item user. When you have Sailor Pluto using Time Stop, you have to, like, use a cologne every turn to restore her TP, and then use the Time Stop again on the turn after that, and constantly use Time Stop throughout the battle. So that gets really tedious, and it also, like, runs through items like nobody's business. So I guess it's a good thing Grind Begun also ups the amount of money you get per battle, huh?
That is nice.
Because I'm not sure I would be able to manage the random battles in Crystal Tokyo half as well if I had to fight them twice as often. God damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Damn it, Venus.
I couldn't get that. I couldn't get the Bubble Spray on the second boss right away because
Mercury's infatuated, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And Venus is up front so that she can do damage, but she's kind of a glass cannon at this point in the game. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have enough health to quite weather one of the boss's stronger attacks. That is the reason that most people are going to lose the first phase of the final boss the first time they play, by the way, because it basically opens on an attack that will wipe out your entire party unless you're intentionally defending through all of it.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. At this point in the game...
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point in the game, like I was saying, the bosses start to hit like trucks. So, you really do need to mitigate them. The unfortunate thing about this is that there's not much flexibility in terms of how you buff and debuff your party. Basically, for buffing your party, you just have the attack and defense buffs. As far as I know, the only defense buff is the Foundation Cream, which you can only use on one party member at a time. So I would just put that on the 2 party members that are up in the front row. And then there's the attack buff, which you have 2 options for. You can use a Manicure on your party, 1 party member at a time, or if you have Sailor Moon and Sailor Venus in the same party, they can use the link spell Healing Shower. Why it's called Healing Shower, I don't know, because it doesn't heal you. It buffs your attack. But,
Contradictory?
But yeah, and then for debuffing the enemy, your only option, as far as I know, is basically just Bubble Spray. So you can't even do that much if you don't have Sailor Mercury in your party.
There we go.
Everyone's alive again. Yay.
And the only status effect you can hit the enemy with is Time Stop. You don't exactly have a wealth of options here. But anyway, the result of this is that, like, there are 2 ways this part of the game can go. You can grind to hell and gone so that you're like level 50 at this point, and then the bosses will die in a reasonable amount of time. You can, like, do even more so that you have the 2nd red pupil and the 10 angel pins that you get from the puzzle pieces. That's what you get for completing the puzzle, by the way. There's a guy in Crystal Tokyo Palace who is in a room, and he says this is the puzzle room, and if you have the puzzle completed, it'll give you 10 angel pins. 1 angel pin for every party member, although it's honestly more effective to just pick your final boss party and put all 10 angel pins on those 5 people.
That'd be really sweet, yeah.
So, like, you can get the best accessories, you can spend hours and hours, and even more hours if you don't have the Grind Begun patch installed, grinding in Crystal Tokyo.
Grinding.
You can grind in Crystal Tokyo until every party member is, like, level 55, and then you'll have a smooth ride throughout the final boss. Or, if you're impatient like me, you can just soldier through like a goddamn metapod.
You and your fire red leaf green beginning part of the playthrough.
Harden.
My only apology for that strategy is doing it on a recording, because like it worked. You saw it work. Like
Did
I was
it?
able. I like being able to beat bosses with unorthodox tactics like that. But, I guess Pokemon was not the best playthrough for a slow-paced, atmospheric run of an RPG, huh?
Especially Gen 1.
I can't help it if I like that game, though, you know?
I mean, I do too. It's just not the way. It's just not the kind of playstyle you use for that game.
It's not the kind of playstyle you use when you're recording a playthrough of that game for YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I
mean, you could get away with it for like maybe Arceus that just came out.
Arceus looks... I want that game, but I don't have the money for it. It's going to be another couple weeks before I can afford it.
It's a lot of fun.
Like, I spent all of my spare Switch game money on SMT5. And,
so
Metroid
Pokemon for
Dread.
adults.
Good old Wii.
I haven't even played SMT5, so I should probably do that rather than drooling over Arceus. But, like, Legends Arceus looks like... goddamn, like it's a train wreck in certain aspects, like a very obvious visible train wreck in certain aspects.
To use the obvious comparison, since we're also the Sonic people on YouTube, as far as like crappy commentary channels go, it's kind of like Sonic Adventure 1, where it's like, is it a valiant first step into a style of gameplay they're absolutely no idea how to do? Sure. Are there a lot of things to like about the game? Absolutely. Are there fucking problems? Absolutely.
But you know, I can forgive those levels of problems when the game on offer is like unique. You know, if it's like you can't really like you bring up Sonic Adventure, and that's the thing about Sonic is there aren't many other games like Sonic.
Yeah,
and
that is
when
true.
you think of other games that are like Sonic, they actually are literally just spiritual successor fan games with new IPs pasted over top of them. You know, so what's the one that the Sonic GT team is making?
Spark the Electric Jester, is that them? Or?
No, that's Spark the Electric Jester was a different team. There's a new game on Steam that the Sonic GT team was making that as a new IP. I played the demo on stream a while back, and it was good. It was interesting. It was devoid of all enemies because it was basically just an engine test demo, but like it really, really fun because they're using the Sonic GT engine for it, and the Sonic GT engine is like poetry in motion. Like everything you might have expected the Sonic Adventure physics engine to evolve into if they'd stuck to it. So like I'm really excited to get a full game of that with a new character, but the only thing I remember off the top of my head, I don't remember the name. I remember that the character's specific power was that it could turn into a ball and like bounce around, sort of like a beach ball, I think. It was really fun. It wasn't Rystar, no.
I know it's not Rystar, but it's like, oh, we just went from one Sega character to another.
I think maybe they had stretchy arms. I don't know.
Rystar?
That is Rystar, yes, I know, but let me see. I'm trying to search it up. Hang on. I know I'm not gonna miss anything because this boss goes on for fucking ever. But and even like after the boss ends, it'll just transition directly into the next one without another cutscene. So we're gonna be here for a while. Sonic
Game's
GT
called
team,
High Star.
Original game. Okay. The game we're looking for is damn it.
As usual, I bring up Sonic and somehow we just get hyper-fixated on him.
Here it is. Here it is. Project Rascal.
Ooh.
He doesn't have stretchy arms. What he does is he rolls up in a ball that can bounce and roll. So
Oh,
Sonic,
I think I
but
know
not
the game
Sonic.
you're talking about now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's really damn fun to just play. And I'm watching footage of it right now on Gabriel Gonzalez's Game Jolt channel. And it looks like there's even more to mess around with than there was last time I looked at it.
Yowissa, thanks for the 2 subs you're getting, Gabriel.
But like the engine that they use for this game is just perfect. I think the only complaint I had with Sonic GT when I played it on stream is that the final boss went on for too goddamn long. And the only quick way to beat it is something that's like not immediately obvious and something you need to make a few tries at to get down. And that's like run straight at the boss before it can activate its stupid shield and try to get at it from behind as you pass by. But like, other than the final boss being a bit of a sour note for me, in the sense that it was a really good boss that was just an HP sponge, I didn't have any problems with the game, so, like, I'm keeping kind of half an eye on Project Rascal over here, in the hope that when it does come out, it's everything that I wanted Sonic GT to be, but longer. Sonic GT is 4 levels long, so not exactly a full-length experience there. Oh god, I'm watching this and I can't look away. I need to... It's way more interesting than watching my 5 Sailor Scouts use the same attacks on Nurgle and... Marduk.
They're doing their best.
The only one of these goddamn 4 Oppositio Soldiers that I can remember off the top of my head is always Nabu, and that's because of that goddamn boss in Chapter 2.
Also Dr. Fate, but...
What?
The spirit residing in the helm of Dr. Fate is a guy named Nabu.
Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't gotten that far in my current DCAU binge watch.
Well, Dr. Fate's like barely in the DCAU. He doesn't even get an episode to himself.
Yeah, I know, but he plays enough of a part. I think he appears like as one of the earlier guest characters in Superman.
Yeah, if you want more Dr. Fate stuff that's animated, then you have to watch Young Justice.
I've heard good things about Young Justice, particularly its handling of Vandal Savage. I really need to watch that show.
Yeah.
Vandal Savage was one of the most interesting villains in Justice League. Man. But you know, he really should not be so free with telling people that he literally can't die, because eventually they're just going to get the bright idea to encase him in a block of metal and drop him in the ocean. And he's not going to get out of that.
Or just, hurl him into space.
Well,
he's not going to die, so...
Look, you hurl him into space, there's a chance he'll fall back to some planet, and the metal will break open and he'll escape. Drop him in the ocean in a big old hunk of impenetrable metal, and that will solve your problem. Even if he falls into a volcano, he'll just be trapped under tons and tons of lava that he can't swim through, because that's how lava works. That'll, absolutely make sure that the actually immortal metahuman can't come back to bite you in the butt anymore.
Yeah, just throw him in the Phantom Zone with the rest of the people Superman doesn't want to deal with.
Look, that never works. They always
I know it never works. It's like, why do you even have this?
Look, you put him in the Phantom Zone, the next thing you know is that, 10 years later, he'll come back teamed up with Doomsday. So, DCAU Doomsday in particular is already intelligent. He didn't need to evolve that part. So, the way they handled DCAU Doomsday kind of makes me laugh. Because they kind of just introduce him as a throwaway, where the alternate universe Superman completely derails the Death of Superman plot. He just happens to be there when Superman should have fought him and died, and lobotomizes the crap out of him.
Well, I think it's because they did the Death of Superman plotline in a different episode, basically.
Well, they did that, I think, later.
I can't remember if it was before or after, but they functionally did it anyway, so...
Yeah, that was when he got zapped ahead in time. I think that was after Doomsday's introduction, though. The interesting thing about Doomsday is that,
we're dead.
Hey, they're dead.
Yeah, well, those 2 are dead. The other 2 are going to be another 13 or so minutes, so... But like, okay.
Anyway, Justice League.
What I was talking about though was that like they originally like considered using Doomsday in the Superman animated series, but I think Paul Dini refused to have him there. I think it was Paul Dini. Someone refused anyway.
Possibly Alan Burnett, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so I get the feeling that whoever didn't want Doomsday in there just didn't like the character or didn't like the Death of Superman arc, which, hey, same. I think Doomsday is bullshit, and the Death of Superman arc was kind of bonkers.
Doomsday works conceptually, it's just a matter of... He's kind of like Bane in where he has like that one thing he did, and they've never had any idea what to do with him after the fact.
Oh, they had plenty of ideas of what to do with him after the fact. The ideas they had for him were just bonkers.
Yeah.
It's like it's eventually revealed that he's this bioweapon that was created on Krypton eons before the Kryptonians evolved, and he was designed to be essentially unkillable because he would always evolve a way to come back from whatever killed him and then protect against it. So that the creators killed him over and over in myriad different ways to strengthen him intentionally. Of course, when you do this to a living thing, you make that living thing really, really mad.
Yeah.
So it went crazy and killed everything and had to be sealed away in a prison ship because they couldn't kill it.
Which is funny because they did effectively that same thing with Amazo in Justice League.
Yeah.
And that arc with Amazo is incredible, so...
Amazo is great, yeah. But then Doomsday just happened to crash on Earth and escape his prison ship, and that's what happened when he came out of it. But in DCAU, he's actually a creation of Cadmus, and it's like, what is it with all these adaptations making Doomsday some creation of people on Earth? It's like, what did they do in the cinematic universe? He was a mutant General Zod.
Functionally speaking, yes. It's not a terrible idea, it's just... It's Batman v Superman.
I hate that version of Lex Luthor. Like,
well, the problem with that is like I get what they were going for. It's just,
well, I mean, it's not entirely off base because like before Lex Luthor was the bald businessman we know, he actually was just an archetypical mad scientist. He even had hair at first.
Yeah,
but
yeah, the original Silver Age explanation as to why Lex Luthor hates Superman is that he was a redhead and his hair got blown off and Superman used a super breath trying to put out like a fire or something.
That's like that was a retroactive explanation for why he was drawn bald first. And the reason he was drawn bald the first time he was drawn bald was a mistake. The artist didn't draw on his hair, I think. It was a mistake. It was an artist mistake, and he's been bald ever since. It's kind of like Power Girl's boobs, only not on purpose. That is the story behind Power Girl. The person drawing the issues with Power Girl in them decided to pull a prank on the editor and just made her slightly bigger each issue to see how long it would take the editor to notice. It took 8 issues.
Oh, and hold on. There was something similar that one of the comic artists I follow pointed out, that I think it was a Wolverine issue, where on the script they misspelled loincloth as lioncloth. So he just has like this weird lion print thing around him during the fight. They just never bothered to ask.
That's good. I need to like make time to sit down and binge read through old DC and Marvel comics one of these days because there's so much that I missed. And, you know, I survived the Ken Penders era of Sonic the Hedgehog. I can survive the ups and downs.
I keep trying to get you to read No Man's Land for Batman, so...
Which one is that?
That's the one where basically the federal government goes, okay, Gotham's too much of a cesspool. We can't get this under control. Normal citizens they're basically Arkham City, where it's like normal citizens get the hell out. We're cordoning the place off. The villains there will just kill each other. Batman, of course, doesn't take too kindly for this because, of course, not everyone gets out. And there's this whole thing going on. It's the arc that effectively introduces Cassandra Cain.
Huh. That's a little weird.
It does the whole, you know, gang war turf thing between all the villains much better than City does. Because City's like a super abridged version of No Man's Land.
Yeah. I should read that.
It's also the panel where it's a mock-up, but if you know the panel where like Batman's just on the street with a megaphone going, "Does anyone know where the Joker is?" it's like that panel comes from that arc. It's not they changed the dialogue because obviously Batman doesn't say that, but
Okay, so No Man's Land. How far back is that?
I want to say mid-2000s.
Okay, that's good because like there are a lot of like
Let me look.
well-known
Yeah,
serious stories from like the early 90s and 80s that I want to read, but I can barely get through them because the way comics were written back then is just so cringe.
Let me see. Original release. Okay, 1999.
1999. Okay, that's still late enough that it's probably like not doing the whole italicizing every other word
Yeah,
in dialogue.
and that was issue number 1. So for
Issue
it,
number
so.
1 of what?
No, it's just it's like the first issue of that storyline was late 99. So
Oh, okay. Was DC still doing the thing where you had to follow like 4 separate series to?
I want to say so, but I think it's been collected into like one thing.
You see, the problem with that is like I have to go online to search out all these separate comic issues, right? And
Yeah.
then like even the websites that that post the comics up for free, which is totally not legal, but even those, when you find them, they separate the separate series into separate series and post them all sequentially in issue order. So you have to like look at the page at the end of the comic where all the letters are that tells you where the story actually continues, and then you need to search for that issue in
Oh my
another
goodness.
series and go read that issue and then jump over to series number 3. So you go from like Adventures of Superman to Man of Steel to Man of Tomorrow to frickin' to regular old Superman, and then to Action Comics.
Oh my
And
goodness.
you have to follow like the story in order between 5 issues because this is how they used to run it back in the day.
Wow.
You would have to subscribe to all the Superman comics and you'd get one like every week. So it would be easy enough to follow along if you were subscribed or if you went to the comic shop around the corner every week.
Or if you're all like
Because,
we are,
like-
you go to the grocery store.
My grocery store never sold comics. Well, they sold some, but like the only things they sold were like individual issues of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, they
was a
didn't
thing.
like not even like near the magazines.
No.
Huh.
Oh wow.
Most people I knew back when I was super little was like, yeah, the comic books were like next to like the magazines.
Yeah,
I
unfortunately.
mean, obviously they didn't have every comic ever, but it was like they had your DC and your Marvel stuff.
Unfortunately, that wasn't the way it was done in my day.
Now the only comics you ever see in a grocery store is when you're in the checkout lane, you see Archie Digest, and you wonder who the hell's still buying this.
Oh, they had Archie Digest, but it was always like by the TV guides.
Well, yeah, because it's barely even a comic book at this point. But it's like anytime I'm at the supermarket and checking it out, it's like I see Archie there on like the little stand by the cashier and all that, and it's just like who is buying this to where you can still make these?
The thing that makes me think of though is that like in the Batman Adventures, the tie-in comic for the animated series, like there were a couple issues of at least the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy stuff, but maybe also some other issues that were done by the same artist who did old school Archie. So like Harleen, when she's out of her mask and stuff, looked pretty much exactly like what's her name from Archie.
Oh my
Betty.
gosh.
Yeah, she had Betty's
Oh,
exact
wow.
face. So she was just crazy Betty in those issues.
Oh, Mr. Archie.
It was so weird seeing like Batman with his square jaw inside an Archie comic style.
I know Betty's saying Mr. J, but it's Jughead.
Oh my god.
Oh, good, one of them's down. But of course, Nob
Oh no,
was the
you're
one that's left in
screaming.
it.
Oh, were you making a save state or?
Yes, I believe I was. I'm just gonna quietly edit that out.
No, you're not.
Yes,
you were going
I am.
to leave that in.
No, I'm not.
Well, everyone knows it's there, so.
No, it's not. It's not there. None of you saw that. Okay, but for serious, what actually happened there was that, like, because the boss was going on, like, past the half-hour mark, I was afraid of my recording equipment glitching,
yeah.
so I'm like, I paused, I saved stated, and then I edited in the rest of the boss after. And I thought I'd edited out all the places where I did that, but apparently I missed one. Oops.
It happens.
It's okay.
Because, yeah, the boss fights in this part of the game, they're awful. And they are really long.
Tiny tedious.
This game's grind factor is something else. Which would be fine with me if they had, like, more diverse tactics, but unfortunately this was an early days 16-bit RPG where, like...
Lots of repetition.
Yeah. I would say, like, it didn't become common to, like, really lean into the tactical flexibility of turn-based battle systems until the PlayStation days at the earliest. Like, Final Fantasy V and maybe one or two of the Dragon Quests were exploring that, but it didn't become common among all franchises, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, when you got into the PlayStation era, you started to get stuff like Wild Arms, or Xenogears, or, what's the, Legend of Dragoon?
Yes, I love that game. That was a good one.
I need to finish that game. I have that on my PS3. It's a fun game. I just, like, keep getting sidetracked. And, like, from there, like, developers of turn-based RPGs got wise, and, you know... What year did Pokemon come about?
1996 in Japan, 1998 here.
Yeah. Even Pokemon was sort of, like, dipping its toes into that, even in its early days. Of course, there's only so much tactical flexibility you can get from moment to moment when you only have one party member active at a time with only 4 moves. I'm never going to stop giving Pokemon shit for that.
They finally somewhat fixed that in RCS.
Well, is RCS turn-based at all?
Generally speaking, yes, but as far as moves go, you can just... They finally did what I told them to do for fucking years. Just give me a menu and let me swap out the moves I want at any given time. And
Yeah.
they keep all the moves they learn.
Oh, okay. So, like, in any given battle, you're stuck with 4 moves, but you can...
Choose which 4 moves to bring in, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least that balances out the inflexibility with a preparatory element.
Yeah.
That's like... That's kind of the thing that some RPGs go for. Final Fantasy VIII is a big example of this, where, like, the strategy of battle is less in the battle itself and more with what you do with your characters before you get to the battle.
And then you spam limit breaks.
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy VIII is absurdly easy to break, yeah, but...
Ooh.
Well, in any case, that is 2 bosses down.
Huzzah.
3 more to go.
Huzzah.
Wait, 3 more to go, and we have 4. We have, like, what, 6 more parts?
2 more to go, technically. 3 more soldiers, but 2 boss fights.
Ah.
And then we have to switch over to Chibi Moon.
Oh boy.